welcome to another episode here at the Cavalier family. Now, this is the last episode that will be streaming on Buzzsprout as well as all major podcast platforms, as that will be going away. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of listeners through there, and with those type of things, it costs the actual owners money and, hard times, right? So just be mindful. Go check out our YouTube channel because this broadcast, if you listen to it over there, it's still going to be there. So as far as that goes, no clear updates, although we do want to thank, of course, Kevin Holmes, who's done many of the elemental side of things on here, a lot of the graphics. Justin Dye, who's, of course, To the Stars We Return, he has done a lot of musical elements, as well as Stephen Dawson. You can see him to my left that way. Mr. Kevin McLaughlin, who's also done the research, as well as myself, and of course Stephen, who's done many of the research in the past. As you can see, unfortunately, we don't have Ro. He had some vacation time, so he's going to go ahead and do that, which I don't blame him. More power to him. Everybody needs more vacation. But other than that, go ahead and follow us on the YouTube, social media, or any other locations that you guys have social media. You'll probably find us, as well as don't forget to click the link down below for the merchandise store where you can support us, because a lot of the funds, actually 100% of the funds, actually goes to producing this show, as well as many of the other elements as far as Cavalier family goes. The only thing that doesn't support the channel is if you buy the Stop the Traffic, which is the Stop Human Trafficking tee that we have on there. That all proceeds, as far as that goes towards the funds and organizations to stop human trafficking. Now, with that in mind, I will shut up and go ahead and lean it over to my co-host, Mr. Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, besides being completely computer illiterate here, trying to get myself set up. So you guys can see I am not in my normal background. And I just want to say, Ro, I understand you're on vacation, but I'm also kind of on vacation. And here I am. So what's up with that, man? Oh, we miss you. I'm sorry. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, as you can see, Kevin is on a little vacation here. And of course, we will be discussing next month's episodes, because those will be a little bit different than what we usually do. They will be Halloween themed episodes as much as we can, as well as maybe quite possibly a little video that we'll be doing, which is a table read of the screenplay I written. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, let's go ahead and jump into the last week of this month, the 2002 top 5 movies.
Back in time.
And with that in mind, welcome to 2002. Here we go ahead and have the top grossing movies of that time period. Some of the actual information comes from boxofficemojo.com. Other than that, the actual information of the films comes from IMDb. Some of the honorable mentions from that time period was Scooby-Doo, Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, Jackass the Movie, Resident Evil, Drumline, Crossroads, Star Trek Nemesis, and The Santa Claus 2. As you can tell, a lot of these films are heavy hitters. I mean, let's be real. Lord of the Rings, heavy hitter. Drumline back in the day was a heavy hitter.
I still like that movie. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a pretty good movie still. Star Trek Nemesis, if you're a Trekkie, if you are a Star Trek fan, heavy hitter there. Santa Claus 2, still a classic. Scooby-Doo, still a classic. Even though that movie was supposed to be, fun fact, rated R. James Gunn actually wrote the script and it was supposed to be rated R. However, the studio wanted to make it a PG-13 movie instead.
You missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, well, there's still talks about him wanting to do a third film and that actually being a rated R film.
I'm here for it. Let me tell you, Scooby-Doo is my favorite.
If Quentin Tarantino can make a Star Trek rated R film, I don't see why a Scooby-Doo rated R film can't be a thing.
No. I mean, if you really think about it, in the universe, there's some dark things that are happening. Like there's some, in the Scooby-Doo universe, there's some bad stuff going around and some bad people.
Yeah, and if they do it right, they can hit a rated R rating without the language, without the
Sure.
sexual content, without the nudity. Perfect example is The Conjuring. All three flicks,
Loved them.
not there's hardly any language at all, but they're all rated R due to the nature of the flick, which of course is being scary. So if they do it right with the scary elements, they can absolutely 100% do a rated R flick with that.
I agree.
So we'll go ahead and jump into number one. Oh, less than a heavy hitter here. Crossroads. So I'm sorry for all you Britney fans.
Let's first of all leave Britney alone. Second of all, what is she doing? That's the next question. What is going on? Like, they let her off the conservatorship and she just took off in a fucking spaceship somewhere. I don't know what's going on anymore. That being said, Crossroads, come on now. It was popular then, though.
Like, it was very popular.
People were super excited for that movie. Yeah.
But some of the other fan favorites, though, was super popular is we'll go ahead and dive into our number one spot, which is Spider-Man. Served a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. It grossed 403.7 million. Now, it was done by Sony. This was before, of course, Marvel was bought off by Disney. So that's where you get a lot of the splitting between Spider-Man, X-Men being Fox. I believe Punisher was Fox as well. Fox. I can't remember. The Hulk was Universal. So a lot of these flicks, a lot of these films, they were done without the beat of Disney and without the beat of, one solid MCU. So this film, you'll remember his name because he most recently directed the Doctor Strange movie, Sam Raimi. He has done all three Spider-Man movies, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and like I said, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It is based on the comic book character Spider-Man, which was created by Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby. Screenplay for this film was done by David Koepp, who was the writer for Jurassic Park and Mission Impossible. It starred Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, William Dafoe, James Franco, Rosemary Harris, Joe Magliano, J.K. Simmons, and actually the honorable mentions is Bruce Campbell and Elizabeth Banks. Of course, Bruce Campbell has made many of the actual cameos in the film. You'll most notably remember him as the doorman for the play that tells Peter that he can't enter. Fun fact about Bruce Campbell's character is that character there is actually supposed to be Mysterio in the upcoming flicks. And then, of course, Elizabeth Banks also played in there, and Bryce Dallas Howard also was Gwen Stacy in the third film. William Dafoe actually performed 90% of his own stunts, 90% of his own stunts. Tobey Maguire said he has never read a Spider-Man comic book, but took the role because he liked the scripts, which was really cool. It was the first Marvel movie to showcase the flipping pages in the opening logo, which is awesome. We didn't get this, even though I kind of wish that we did, but Hugh Jackman revealed that he was supposed to have a brief cameo as Wolverine. Jackman actually showed up in New York to film the scene, but the entire plan was scrapped when the crew couldn't get access to the Wolverine costume from the 2000s X-Men.
We don't need a Wolverine costume. We could have had him in a white wife beater and
a cigar,
and we got Wolverine, man. Like that's all you need. Well, and Todd, I love you, but if you say William Dafoe one more time,
sorry, Willem.
Oh,
Willem.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I forgot.
I'm just like in anxiety ridden inside. No.
I forgot that it's Willem and the hardship that you gave me the last time.
Man, here we are, 2 episodes again.
Yeah.
Three's a charm, man. I don't know. I mean,
so out of the 3 flicks, which one's your favorite and why?
I love the first one's Green Goblin. I absolutely am such a fan. So I think I have to go with the first one. What was it? The second one where we got like dark and mysterious Peter Parker?
Yeah. Wait, the emo
one?
Was
it? It was that third. That was the third one.
That was the third
one. That's probably my favorite scene. I love him just going around being super cocky and throwing shade everywhere he walks around town. I enjoyed that. I really these films really hold like a real deep meaning to me, like in my love for comic books and comic book movies, because I mean this is like our real first showing of what could come to the main screen realistically, to the big screen. And I just remember being a young kid. I mean, shoot, I was 14 at the time when this came out, and just in awe at what I was seeing in the movie theater. I'm like, Spider-Man's always been one of my favorites. So unlike Tobey Maguire, I actually read the comic books. So shade at you now, Toby. But you know, so I don't know. The first one, I don't know. I thought the first one was just done really well. You know, the Sandman character number 2 is a little weird. Man, see, I'm getting 2 and 3 mixed up. What was the premise of 2 again?
Doc
What
Ock.
was that? Doc Ock. Okay, yeah. You know, I mean, Octavius was pretty cool, but the first one, I think that's my favorite.
I would agree. In exactly the order that it is. Green Goblin is my favorite character, who's played by Willem Dafoe.
Thank you.
And the fact that they actually did play very well in Amazing Spider-Man, I think it was 223, 222. It was the issues where Gwen Stacy dies and the death of the Green Goblin. Sorry, 121 and 122, I believe, are the episode or the issues. And of course, that is when Gwen Stacy dies. That's when she gets thrown off the bridge, which you see in the first film. You see Doc Ock, Jesus. You see Green Goblin get impaled by his glider, which is done in the second issue of Gwen Stacy's death. So that would be 122. And, you know, you just have a lot of these moments that are turned and pulled from the comic books. I believe the second one, there's a lot of more character development in the sense of Doc Ock, a little bit more emotional ties to it, which is why I feel like a lot of individual people like it, because you have a lot of that complexity when it comes to the storytelling with that. But number one, it was great. And number one was actually delayed because if you remember, there's actually a scene in there where the helicopter gets stuck in between 2 buildings. And those 2 buildings was actually the World Trade Center.
World Trade Center. Yeah.
Yep. And you can actually see that video or that scene on YouTube because, you know, they have it. But they actually had to go over through the film and take that sequence out, or they had to edit it out. So it delayed the film from coming out because I believe it was supposed to come out like the week or like month after the Twin Towers were hit. So they had to really quickly go through and then get it sent out. So it's number one. Number 2, we have Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. IMDb score is 6.6 out of 10. It did gross $302 million. It was done by 20th Century Fox, directed by George Lucas, written by George Lucas, Jonathan Hales, who did also the writer for The Scorpion King, John Ostrander, starred Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Christopher Lee, Samuel L. Jackson, Frank Oz, Ian McDermott, Tamira Morrison, I'll just go ahead and say Morrison, Jimmy Smits, and Rose Byrne. If it's not like a typical white person name, I struggle. Where's the Smith in this? Where's the Clark and the Jones? It was the only Star Wars film to not gross the film of the year in North America. Death Sticks, the drug dealer that tries to sell to Obi-Wan in the bar, were actually hallucinogenics. It's the reference to cigarettes on how they can result in death addiction, and weighed heavily on how George personally felt about cigarettes. So in that sequence, that's when, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that when Anakin runs right through the city, through the townscape, and then runs into that bar, and then Obi-Wan tries to go after him. He meets up with this guy at the bar, kind of looking around, seeing where he's at. And the guy is like, "You want some death sticks?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty spot on. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I can either do that or, "You want some death sticks?"
Oh, like you got a stoma going on there or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've always loved Star Wars. I mean, I can't get away.
I can't
with that,
tell.
so.
It doesn't. I don't
No,
believe.
it doesn't show. I mean, I've always enjoyed Star Wars, the trilogy or the prequels. I mean, those are a lot better than the most recent trilogy that we got. Let's just and they have grown like fine wine. Not like
they do.
they have grown better the older that we get. And I think it's because a lot of people knocked on George and the prequels and stuff, and then we know that George was working on a seventh film. He was halfway done or like a quarter way done with it. He said that he didn't really work on it because he wanted to work on other projects, and then Disney bought him out. And everybody, fanboy base, was like, "Yes, we're going to get 7, we're going to get 8, we're going to get 9." Finally, the last 3 movies that we were promised back in the 70s, where he said it would take 9 movies to do. And then we realized that maybe it should have stayed with George.
The Dark Overlord mouse took over, and here's where we are. The prequel movies, I mean, and I'm sure it's the same for you, hold a extremely soft spot in my heart because those are our Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
Those are our movies. Like those
Yep.
those are our 70s movies. Like, so like, I mean, I love them. Number 2 was a good movie, episode 2. And again, I think it suffered the same fate as Spider-Man 2, with the drawing really hard on character development and
drawing out too.
Yeah, that's fair. Still a good movie. And then number 3 came along and killed it in episode 3. I loved episode 3.
Oh,
come on. I mean,
yes.
What do you do? So I mean, whatever. I don't
Still
know.
To this day, besides the little hallway scenes with Vader and Luke in The Mandalorian and Rogue One, the best lightsaber fight, hands down.
It's not even close, truthfully.
The longest, the most choreographic, and just the compassion between the 2 characters.
Do you want to do it? You and I, we could go back and forth. I'll be Obi-Wan. I know you can do it. We'll say that for a special episode.
So yeah, it was good. But out of, not saying that the new sequels or new trilogy is bad, because you kind of have to take it for what it's worth. And do I like it? I do like it.
I'll take as much Star Wars as I could get. I'll never, as long as they're making them, I'm going to be okay with it, and I'm here for it. So it doesn't really matter.
I will say though, the very first time I saw Force Awakens trailer, absolutely loved it. Super hyped. Wanted to go see it. Saw it 7 times. Last Jedi, saw 1 trailer, the teaser trailer. And something about that, I just got in the pit of my stomach, like, oh, I'm going to hate this movie. I ended up hating that movie.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Rise of Skywalker came out, and I was half excited, but also not half excited because I knew what J.J. Abrams had to clean up. So where Clerks 3 came into play is same thing. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Super excited. Went, had fun. Saw the Clerks 3 trailer. It wasn't, oh no, it was, oh, this is going to be a different tone and I like it, but I don't think I am going to know what to expect. And if you guys, and if you guys listen to the previous episode, of course you would have heard our conversation about it. So yeah. Favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, I don't want to be that guy and say Emperor.
Emperor Strikes Back.
Yeah, I don't want to say that. I think I have to go honestly with episode 3 of the prequel.
Okay,
It has to be. It has to be. I mean,
I support
it,
that.
it's so iconic, and it was the end of my trilogy.
Hmm.
So I have to, just on my own accord.
Fan of Sith, Rebel, or Gray Jedi?
I would. I think I'm more of a Sith type of guy myself
Okay.
personally.
See, I'm more gray to the
Yeah.
point where, like, the Jedi, they're all, hippity hoppity, like, well, let's go to the country club type, versus Gray Jedi, which is more of, let's go to the country club. But if you punch me, I'm not afraid to break a beer bottle over your
That's
head.
fair. Yeah, like I do agree that like the Jedi on their own are kind of pompous assholes. Like I can get behind that. Like I can see where the Empire's coming from.
Mhm.
I had a discussion with the wife about that the other day. Like they're not too far off, really. If we really think about it, they're just going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But whatever. It seems like a lot of things are doing that today in today's society. So I don't.
Yeah, no
Oh,
joke.
oh.
So we'll go ahead and jump to number 3, which is another big heavy hitter that everybody loves and enjoys.
Yeah.
That is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It scored 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. It grossed 261.9 million. It also was distributed by Warner Brothers. It was directed by Chris Columbus, who's done Home Alone 1 and 2.
The Christopher Columbus?
Yeah, who sailed the seas.
Same one, right?
He also did Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Mrs. Doubtfire, Bicentennial Man, and Adventures in Babysitting. The writer was Steve Kloves, who's done all Harry Potter movies except for Order of the Phoenix. He's also done The Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore, who did it along with J.K. Rowling. It starred Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Tom Felton, Toby Jones, and the great Alan Rickman.
R.I.P. baby.
Yeah. Fun fact is Tom Felton forgot his lines when Draco sees Harry disguised as Goyle, so he improvised. I didn't know you could read. Nurses were drafted into the production when an outbreak of head lice occurred amongst the young cast, and many Harry Potter fans went to see 2002 Scooby-Doo to see a trailer for this movie.
I went to see Scooby-Doo. So
I went to just go see Scooby-Doo too.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. So I saw it in theaters, but my premise was not to see a trailer. That being said, I love Harry Potter. I'm a huge Potterverse type guy. So
we can both agree, as far as all the movies go, they're great. They're fun, they're energetic.
Sure.
What is that one movie that you don't like though?
Oh, I liked. It honestly might be the first two. It might be Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
I liked the darkness that it was heading towards in the end. I loved Goblet of Fire, which interestingly is the first book that I read. That's how I got started in the series, was with the fourth book. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is weird. And I love it. So now I'm going to start back, because I was one of those kids. I wanted to read what was popular at the time when I was reading, because I got started a little late in middle school. And so I read like the newest one as it was coming out. And then I'm like, wow, I really messed up here. So now I got to go back. And then I started back all the way through again. Man, that's tough. I like them all so much. I don't know if there's one that really sticks out to me as don't like. How about you give me your example and maybe I'll think of one.
So my example is because I read the book.
Okay.
And I hated the movie.
Okay.
And it was Half-Blood Prince.
Okay. What about it? What particular? Because that was one of my favorite books.
It was because Tom Riddle.
Okay.
They didn't do the history to showcase why Tom Riddle was actually evil in the way he is. He showed, okay, he's an orphan. Okay, got that. He was neglected. Okay, he got that. but they didn't go into depth, like primarily because didn't he also live in an abusive household, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
He just had so much character development in that book that went so in depth to being like, wow, this kid needed to speak to somebody. He needed some sort of counseling.
Sure.
And they didn't showcase that in the movie.
That's fair. He's just bad because he's bad.
Exactly.
Essentially is kind of what we got. So I can totally understand that. I get that. And, and I think that's this, these were pretty long movies, which I was not opposed to because there's so much storytelling that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're completely on par and on ball with that. Is they dropped the ball on that, on such an important character, to let us know and show us on screen exactly what happened, even a smidgen, even some more back, some flashbacks or something to like who is Tom Riddle and why is Tom Riddle, so nothing, you don't just end up being a bad person. Things happen. It's
even if it's even like what you said, even if it's like short snippets of it, like backstory, or even if it's like because I don't remember if they did do this, and if they did, then I would have to rewatch it. But like when he's going into the memory, right, of Tom Riddle,
the pensive or whatever,
yeah, and he goes into it, and then they showcase like maybe some sequence while he's going into it, like some sort of memory within the memory. That could be something.
Sure.
I don't remember if they do that, so I would have to pay more attention. But like just snippets like that where they could still showcase the character himself, but also keep in track with that time frame that they had to stick, that the studio that told them, okay, you have to stay within these guidelines. Because even with the going after the Horcruxes, like that, some of that could have been shortened up.
They drug that one out a bit. Some of the scenes out in the woods and all that kind of stuff.
The water,
it was drug a bit. I'll concede to that 100%. I agree with you. To the point where you're like, okay, we get it. Well, I'm way more interested in Voldemort's backstory than we know that you guys got to go out here and get these Horcruxes.
Like,
we get it.
Like that is that's why it's my least favorite Harry Potter movie, and that is also why I have never read a Harry Potter book after that.
Oh, what? Really?
I never did, because I did not want any of the books to ruin the movie, because I'm more of a movie fan than I am a book fan.
Okay, I mean, I suppose that's fair. Like that, I get it, because we definitely have a generation that grew up on just the movies and bypassed the books now. So I could see where going back and reading the books could be detrimental to your thought process on the movie itself. I understand that, but go back and read the books to do yourself a favor. They're good. They're good.
Oh, no doubt. Like I know Deathly Hallows is phenomenal from what I've been told. But I'm just afraid that it's going to ruin the movies, and I love movie magic. I love that movie magic where you could just watch a screen and you can just escape in it, and for about 2.5 hours you have nothing to worry about, quite possibly, unless if the guy is snoring behind you or if somebody's just rocking their seat back and forth. But besides that, you're just looking at that screen and living in that moment.
Speaking of living in the moment, back to Chamber of Secrets, can we both admit that Moaning Myrtle is really annoying in this movie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Less of her, more Voldemort. There you go.
I'm okay with this. I'm all right with this. Less Biggie, less her, more Biggie Snake. That's what we want.
So number 4, it looks like Signs. It was 6.8 out of 10. It grossed 227.9 million. It was done, shockingly, I didn't know this, by the Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures.
I did not know this either.
I did not know that. It was directed by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. I'm sorry, M. Night Shyamalan.
No, you said it right the first time.
Okay. Writer was M. Night Shyamalan. Starred Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin, who's the brother of
Macaulay,
Macaulay, and Abigail Breslin. The crop circles are real, as M. Night actually doesn't particularly like using CGI. The stories of the children birth are actually the stories of M. Night's two children. It was actually Abigail Breslin's film debut. And it was M. Night. He stated that the scariest thing in the film is that a good man could lose his connection to God. And I mean, that movie, it's heavy when it goes to like the character development of Mel Gibson's character. But at the same time, the one thing that I don't understand is why would the aliens go to a freaking planet that's surrounded by water when the only thing that could kill them is water?
I don't know. Could we both say maybe that this is the movie that like finally sent Mel Gibson over the edge? Is this the one?
No, I thought it was because wasn't it after Passion of the Christ?
Yeah, but he was ramping up after this though. Come on, but yeah,
I don't really remember that.
I don't know. I mean the God stuff, maybe that's what M. Night's actually talking about.
It's actually Mel Gibson.
Just sent Mel Gibson over the edge and his connection with God, and then he started yelling at the Hebrews, and then here we are today with Mel Gibson. I don't even know what he's doing nowadays.
But he has leaked out a lot of stuff that goes on in Hollywood they deem it as conspiracy theory and stuff like that.
I think we've gotten a lot of what happens in Hollywood the last few years, to be honest.
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that he said has come to light to where it's like, actually, that is really plausible.
Yeah, I will neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, I agree. But I'm with you. I'm tracking 100% with you here, bud. I get it. It's really something for something I love so much and have such a dark cloud that's sitting over top of it. It's kind of disheartening.
Yeah, it is. But did you ever go see this in the theaters?
I did not. No,
I did.
I'm not a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan. I said it. I went there.
It's okay because I mean, really, out of all of M. Night's films, it's probably my favorite.
It's probably the best in my opinion as well. I agree.
Signs was pretty good. Yes, absolutely.
Like
Unbreakable was pretty good. Split was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Split was awesome. I'll give Split that. I like Split.
But then you also have Glass that just fell flat. And I feel like it's because it literally came, what was it, like a year or two after the other one? And that screenplay for Split took so long to do. So I just feel like they're just didn't give it enough time to actually soak everything in.
The Happening, wasn't that M. Night?
The Happening was M. Night, where you figure out that it was the trees and the plants. Yep.
It's just Mark Wahlberg running around the screen for an hour and a half. What? Just confused. It's over there. What is this? What's going on? He's just so confused the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And then you figure out that it's plants.
It's the trees.
Lady in the Water. No. They hyped up The Village a lot. I remember watching on Sci-Fi. They had like a whole like hour or two of like this mysterious filming going on, and it's M. Night Shyamalan, to the point where the people did a Ouija board on the show too, like what's happening in the village, and they were talking about like all this demonic stuff that's happening in the village. So it was really hyped up. Saw it, not that great.
Yeah, they're very hit or miss, mostly miss to me. That's how I feel about it.
And then let's see, what other one was there?
The Mist, was that him?
The Mist?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No.
Avatar.
Yeah.
The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys like it, that's cool. I don't know. Not my bag.
But I did go see this movie out in the theaters, and I did enjoy it. Again, still one of my favorite films as far as M. Night Shyamalan goes. And I remember when Joaquin Phoenix, his character, picks up that bat and just starts hitting the alien.
Yeah.
And I screamed at the screen when he broke the bat, because as a kid, like it's something really awesome, and I screamed out. I didn't say damn as little, and a lady was sitting next to me, so I said dang like really loud.
That little. You weren't that little.
I was 12. Okay, yeah, I was 12.
Yeah. Well,
so I wasn't that little, but still.
Fair enough. Dang.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere. Whole theater was quiet. Big mouth right there.
I did see the first 3 in theaters that year, though. Did not see Signs. My dad didn't let me go see scary movies.
See, really? Okay, why is that?
He's old. I don't know. He was definitely from a different era. But I did go see Scooby-Doo. I did see Lord of the Rings. I did see Jackass the movie. So my dad let me go see Jackass the movie, right? Isn't that odd?
I was never allowed.
Right. So, and then on my 18th birthday, literally on the day, I saw Jackass 2 when it came out too. So it's so weird. Resident Evil, Drumline, Santa Claus is awesome. Except for the third one.
Well, in the third one, I saw it twice in the theater for Santa Claus 3. And I remember sitting there the first time I watched it, and the sequence where he goes into the shop. This is after Jack Frost takes over, and he's looking around, he's seeing all the changes. And in the background, you can hear a guy, because he shoulder bumps with like with an extra, and the extra shouts out, and you can hear in the background, like, move out of the way, asshole. He says it, but you can barely hear it. But if you're paying attention, you can hear it. I was like, oh no, they didn't say that. This movie is like PG. Went the second time, watched it with my sister, my younger sister, and I was like, okay, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna really pay attention. And the guy literally says, "Get out of the way, asshole!" After he shoulder bumps with Tim Allen. And when the movie came out in like DVD and VHS form, they took it out.
Oh, it's sad. That's what I was happy about, like the Jurassic Park movies, is even to this day, even on the DVD cuts and everything like that, on the first one, you still, when the raptors are making their way into the kitchen and the guy puts his hand out to stop the raptor from tipping over, like it's still there. They never got rid of that. Do you know about that? Oh, what? It's like a huge thing. So in the first movie, when the raptors are chasing the kids through the complex and they go into the kitchen, when the raptor headbutts the door open, zooms out wide, and the raptor just kind of starts tilting forward a little bit. If you look down by its tail, you see a man's hand come over just like this and take by the tail, and then the raptor kind of sits back up again. Look it up.
Really?
Look it up on YouTube after this. We'll look it up together. We'll have fun. It's amazing. Absolutely. And they never took it out. It's just kind of an Easter egg in the movie.
Now,
how the sausage is made, essentially. Yeah.
Well, speaking of sausages and speaking about food, it brings us directly to our next film, the only film I didn't see in theaters. Is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Scored 6.6 out of 10. IMDb gained 241 million. It was distributed by IFC Films. Director was Joel Zwick. The writer was Naya Vardalos. It starred Naya Vardalos, John Corbett, Michael Constantine, and Joey Fatone. All the people on the bride's side at the wedding were actually all of Naya Vardalos' family. And then after Tom Hanks' wife saw the play, apparently it was a play beforehand, she had her husband call Naya to help produce a film. Naya inadvertently hung up on him because she didn't think it was actually Tom Hanks. Understandable.
You got to talk to people with your Woody voice for you to know it's Tom Hanks, right? Hey,
there's a snake in my boot.
Oh, that's definitely Tom. There he is.
There he goes.
I can't recollect if I've ever actually seen this movie. I want to say I have seen it, and I've heard good things because I know they made a sequel many years later. I've never seen it though.
I've seen it twice. Both times it was at home because my mom and my aunt watched it because they loved it, because it is very reminiscent of how we grew up in like Portuguese household and stuff like that. and the fact that Joey Fatone's character, he actually tells the future husband of the bride, of the main character, to say something, and he says something like in Greek, but he says like penis or like the word dick or something like that.
Mhm.
And the future husband says it right in the Greek language, and the mother goes over, she looks at the son, walks over and smacks Joey Fatone in the back of the head, and then speaks to him in Greek. And that actually happened. I believe it was my father that one of my uncles told him to say something in Portuguese, and he did. And I can't say of whether or not if they got slapped, but they knew that they were pulling the prank because that's what they do. Like my grandfather, when he first met my grandmother overseas in Portugal, he said, "My señorita." Now, señorita in Portuguese means, what was it? It was whore or prostitute.
Oh, very different meanings.
So
Very different meanings.
So in Portuguese,
Oh,
he needed
no.
to say, I got to get that senora.
Okay.
Needed to say senora rather than señorita.
Oh, no.
And luckily, my grandmother just told him what that meant, and
I bet the white
Yeah.
I bet the color just left his face after that.
Mhm.
I have no doubt.
And it's because the reason why is because the guys on the Air Force Base told them to call her that, but they knew what that meant because they were
Military
already
thing.
on base for a long time period.
Ugh, rough.
So,
Funny, but rough.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, with that actually brings the end of the episode of the 2002 movies. Of course, this is the last episode that will be airing on the podcast platform. But again, you guys can check us out on the YouTube channel because this is where the everything still, gets creative and magically showcases the top music, TV shows, cartoons, and film of every year. So go ahead, subscribe to that channel because, as soon as we hit 100, yes, we haven't reached 100 yet, but 100 subscribers, we actually get our own URL. Yay.
We can do
So
this.
we can do this. We're at
We
50
can.
right now. We are halfway there. So go ahead and check us out on all social platforms. Thank you guys so much for the support on the past podcast platforms themselves. And we'll see you next month for our Halloween series.